sunny day, sweeping the crap away, on my way to where the vinyl's sweet. Won't you come on down my steps to my record room, down the steps to my record room. Music to play, everything's A-OK. Have a seat, don't worry, it is 6 feet. Won't you sit down and relax, play some music in my record room, enjoy music in my record room. Good morning, welcome. It's another early morning Sunday show coming to you live from my music room, my safe place, my place that makes me feel good. I probably just lost a bunch of subs after that opening, but I wanted to do it if I could only sing on key. But hey, it's sunny day, man. Let's do a little Sesame Street. Let's have a little fun. Yeah, with everything. What are you going to do? You know, people get on, we'll talk virus, whatever, COVID. Yeah. Well, but there's just not much you can do. I don't let it worry me. I don't let it hear sweat. I feel terrible what's going on. I get very angry when I watch things about what's happening and where it's going. You know, personally, I feel safe. I feel good. You know, and I have to. I got to carry on. You know, luckily my wife and I are still both working at this time, so that's good. I have to do periodic day trips. You know, I think this coming week I go out 3 times to visit places that I don't even manage, but they're closer within the vicinity, so I don't stay overnight and I get back home. And I'm fine with that. If there's people out there working, they need to see some leadership come in to say, okay, hey, we're here, we're with you, what we're doing is important, and so I have no issues, and it gets me out of the house. I can't say I've got a lot of reading done. I mean, really, when I'm working during the daytime and just not sitting around watching Netflix. I am watching videos. Even that I seem to be behind on. There's a, you know, it used to be contests, now it's a lot of threads. I personally, I just can't keep up with it, but it's okay. You know what? You have to do something. A lot of people, might be a lot of you, you know what? You know, you're just kind of waiting. The job's gone right now, and man, hearts out to you. So, hey, I started a new series, so I do have time for that, and I guess that's where I've been putting my effort. So midweek now, I have a top alternative bands from the 80s. It's just some music I really have always loved. You know, I was in my 20s. I actually began making money at that time out of college and began buying albums. So we're going to be talking about those. I think some new, some bands you might not know, some you will know. It's just fun. Feel free to tune in on that. It'll be about between 30 and 40 minutes each episode because I'm going to do 10 albums and brevity is not my forte. So that's going on. And I got a contest entry this week. In the background, we're playing Cake. Band came out of California, I believe 1991. They're still playing. They have 6 LPs currently out there. I really love Cake. I only have them in CD. Love to give them in album. You know, they had a great trumpeter on here. The singer kind of does a monotone type voice. Just great music. It's a band that makes me happy. What do you do when you got a little extra time? You do some reading. Finished this book. This was a gift from this was some VCLT. This is Kink Chronicles by John Mendelsohn. This guy, I think, at one time was really close with the Kinks, and they really liked him, and he did a bunch of writing on their album jackets, and then he had a falling out, probably with Ray Davies. Ray Davies just was very moody. I don't know a lot about the Kinks. What I did learn is Ray Davies is a really moody dude, and if you said, hey, that song sounds like, he would really get pissed off. And so, you know, really, he praises the early Kinks when he seemed to be in, but then the later Kinks stuff, what you got into the 70s and that, yeah, I think he thinks it's more of a rubbish. I want to read you, though, this was just a funny paragraph. This is when the Kinks switched labels. He goes, eventually the Kinks accepted the offer of Arista Records. Clive Davis, whose principal claims to fame since leaving the helm of Columbia in disgrace had been to write the most relentlessly self-serving autobiography in the history of American letters, and to help transform Barry Manilow from an obscure sideman and hack jingle monger into the scourge of American airwaves. I'm sorry, folks, but I thought that's pretty damn funny. You know, he couldn't interview Ray Davies or Dave Davies on this. They wouldn't sit for an interview, so he's had to take it from other things. It was great to hear kind of the history. The take a lot came from other articles or when he did, you know, or when he was close to them. So it was an interesting read. I thought he was a little bitter at the end. The other one I finished, and this is from Tim Burgess from the Charltons. This is Vinyl Adventures from Istanbul to San Francisco. And he went around, he had a lot of people tell him, hey, you ought to buy it, you need this album, you need this album, and then he would go look for it. So adventures in record buying. I really thought the whole book would be about him going through record stores searching for records. And you know what? I was excited about that. And you know, overall, when you think about it, probably most of the world wouldn't be as excited about a book like that. So it's still somewhat autobiographical, telling stories, but yet there is some record, you know, about finding records, getting in, looking at things. You know, it's records from around the world, including, you know, in the U.S. as he looks for certain albums. Some are very common, like ABBA, and others are really obscure albums, and how he finds them. So it was an okay read. I was expecting more. I really was expecting more, just getting into record collecting and the dig and the hunt, and I didn't get that. So I came in with a different expectation than what I received, but fine. Mike from Jam on Vinyl, he helped me out. He had he just recently have a contest. And if you haven't watched, you know, Mike from Jam on Vinyl does just a wonderful job. He's a history teacher, and that's what I really like. He sent me 2 books, sent me this really old postcard, and it's typed. He has a typewriter. Mike has a typewriter. That is just so cool. And just thanks for entering. I love your enthusiasm. Here are 2 books on music and history, one of Native Americans and the other on Vietnam. I know you will love them. The note is on an official 1964 World's Fair card. So this is so cool. This is so neat. So this book here is Indigenous Native American Music from Jazz to Hip Hop, which I know so very little of. This absolutely sounds like a fascinating read. And the other one Mike said is Gotta Get Out of This Place. And he was recently working on a huge paper on music in the Vietnam. So this was probably one of those sources. Rolling Stone's best book of 2015. Really looking forward to getting into these, so thank you. Currently, though, I'm reading a book about World War II and the largest parachute drop in 1944 that was ever conducted. I know, pretty cool stuff, huh? All right, 8 minutes in, no records. Let's go. Belle-Marie. Hey, let's do this one first. Belle-Marie. I hope I'm saying that right. Formed in 06 until present out of Austin, Texas. It's a 6-piece minimalist instrumental ensemble. You know, I would say influences are like Will Ackerman, Mac Richter, John Cage. Actually, they named Gillian Welch as one. They have put out 7 albums. It's guitar, piano, cello, violin, and drums. This music, you think everything that goes on, you need calm in your life. You need to sit, you need to relax. This is the kind of stuff that does it. It's quiet, it's peaceful, it's extremely restrained music. It incorporates just beautiful textures.
It is a, I don't know, what you hear is you get this cello and this violin out there, and they're playing over this very restrained piano, and this nice little guitar comes in and goes out. This is their first album. They formed in '06. This album came out in '07. It's just called Belmore. And it is, I mean, oh man, it's a thing of beauty and grace. It's the best way. I'm play a track, and the track is on there, Belmean Morning. Absolutely incredible song. Not much on the label. The whole album is just pure peace. And it's just, you know, part you could say, is it new age? No, not really. It's just part kind of a little more than the New Classicists, because, you know, with more focus on guitar, and there is a little bit of drumming on there, but just absolutely beautiful and peaceful. Then in 2009 they did this, All Is Wild, All Is Silent. And both of these albums, these are recommended by VVC members, and I really appreciate that. I love when you guys send me something. Obviously I can't buy every album that gets recommended to me, but I try. This one here, there's some more drums, there's vocals, but we're vocals in the way of Sigur Rós. Okay, it's more an instrument. The vocal is used as an instrument. There's even hand clapping. 3 of the songs build to crescendo. Unlike this, that's really quiet and peaceful, this has 3 that do a little bit more. And so it adds something more to it. Again, though, extremely peaceful, extremely, I mean, it's meditative. Nothing better than sitting around, you know, if you're there, if you're reading, or if you just need to relax. You need music like this. During tense times, you need something to calm you. And Belmore is excellent. So these are 2 of their, I believe they have 6 albums out there. 7 albums. I highly recommend them out of Austin. Then another Max Richter. So this one, Max was asked to score a narrative dance music piece, and it's based upon 3 books from Virginia Woolf: Mrs. Dalloway, Orlando, and The Waves. And that's what he does. In fact, the only known vocal recordings of Virginia Woolf is what starts off the album. You can hear the violins and cello, they raise and lower the music up and down, just like you would of a dance. In Orlando, the series, it's called Orlando. They take a Portuguese folk dance, and it's called La Thalia. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. But that folk dance, it's known to be wild and noisy and induces madness. So he takes this, he adds in the electronics and makes just this beautiful classical piece out of it. Now, Max still incorporates, there's Virginia Woolf, he still incorporates really his signature blips and hisses and found noises. He puts that into the music. But like any of his other albums, it just becomes a thing of beauty. And it highly relaxing. I really enjoy the stuff of Richter, you know, or one of those new classicists out there. It just makes some beautiful music, and this is one of them on Deutsche Grammophon. You know, it's a good quality 180 gram recording. Beautiful stuff. But maybe you don't want to relax. Maybe you say, Steve, I'm a relaxed dude, or I need to get some aggression out. Well, let's do that too. I'm still showing, what, half a year later, I'm still showing Record Store Day from November. Yes, folks, that's how far behind I am sometimes on showing. This one here, I've listened to them all, and I've listened to this several times. This is a live recording from the Gun Club from 1981, yellow vinyl. And they formed, I believe, in 1980. And this is, again, a live recording, and they put out their very first album in 1981. It's a post-punk kind of blues band coming out of California. A lot of rock and rockabilly, and you can hear that in there. You know, even their love of the blues. When you think of Gun Club, you know, who came out of that? You know, during that time, you know, the cowpunk movement was going on. So down in California, you had these guys. You had X, you had the Flesh Eaters, and you had the Blasters. And they're all in there. And by the way, on my midweek show, you'll hear about all those bands, including this one. But this is just a nice live album. Is the recording super clean? No. It's a little muddy. It wasn't like made, we're going to sit there and record this for an album. Wasn't the case, but it's a moment of time. You could hear a band that was just starting, getting ready to go. You know, they went from 79 to 96. I said 80, it was 79. So just kind of always fun to hear how someone goes. Miles Davis, and this is, or it's called The Lost Quintet. This is the very last album that his last quintet performed, and they did this. It was a concert in Rotterdam in 1969. So on here you have Miles on trumpet, Dave Holland bass, Chick Corea keyboard, Wayne Shorter sax, Jack DeJohnette on drums. It's the last time he used a 5-piece band. This was it. You know, in 69, he had just put out Bitches Brew and in a Silent Way. So it was a pivotal year. And this was the final recording that he did with that band. So again, an interesting moment in time. Songs are different. If you listen to the album, Miles changed them all the time. You never knew which way they were going, and you can hear that on this. So, neat recording, The Lost Quintet by Miles Davis. Speaking of Miles Davis, I found this, Vote for Miles. It is stuff from On the Corner. What it is, it's just different sessions that were used for On the Corner that didn't make the cut. So someone got the idea of bootlegging the whole thing, which there's various covers of this. I actually have the complete sessions in CD, everything that was done in a box set. But I saw it, I thought, that would just be fun. So I bought that from Miles Davis. Then we have the Crawdaddies. This is a 4-piece R&B out of California. And really, there was 2 songwriters on here, Steve Polderf and Ron Silva, and they came from a group called the Hitmakers. I had wet the whistle there. These guys, their music is similar to Mercy era Beatles. They love Chuck Berry, they love Little Richard, and you hear that in their music. In fact, they do a lot of covers. Even the back cover, look at that. It's like a 50s or like a 60s back cover. They go, let's see, Ron Silva plays guitars, drums, piano, enjoys meatloaf and chocolate milk. Credits Phil May and Long John Belderly among his top idols. Like songwriters Goffin and King, and he would like to meet a young blonde who resembles Maylie Mills. It's just kind of fun. This came out in 1979. So it was after, you know, now punk's gone and they're bringing in some of the rockabilly. And when you hear this, I mean, it just sounds like, you know, late 50s, early 60s. Man, I just really, you feel that rockabilly vibe to it. Just fun stuff. It's a lot of R&B covers. I can't say, you know, there's a lot of Chuck Berry on here. There's John Lee Hooker. There is Burnett's on here, Willie Dixon. So it is. It's mostly covers, not too many originals. The Crawdaddies, he only had one album, and this is it. And they came out of Southern California. They only lasted a couple years, and that was it. But this was their one and only album. It's fun. It's just a fun listen. Then we have this, Mark, Don, and Terry. And I got this from Bill Young, Michigan Record Club. I bought some albums. He goes, hey, I got these. Take whatever you want. And this is one I picked because I did not know much or anything about this album. Well, it's a 2 LP set from a band from Flint, Michigan that was formed in 65 to 49. And it was called Terry Knight and the Pack. So Terry Knight was a fairly charismatic guy, and he wanted to get a group going. I believe he was doing some DJ. It was a group called the Jazz Masters. So he went and talked to a couple of them. He went and talked to Don and Terry and says, hey, why don't we start a different group? And this is okay. So they did, and he called it Terry Knight and the Pack, and got rid of the Jazz Masters, had them get rid of their uniforms, have them get more of a Rolling Stone haircut, and they kind of came up with this garage band. And really what it is, it's a garage band. They play psych music. The other 2 members on here was I'm trying to think of their name, Don Brewer and Mark Farmer. Yeah, Don Brewer and Mark Farmer. I'm sorry, the first guy is Terry Knight. So Mark and Don, they went on after this was over because they only put out a couple albums, and they formed the Grand Funk Railroad. So this is kind of where Grand Funk Railroad came from. Terry Knight was not part of that. This album jacket design, Grand Funk Railroad put out an album that was called Mark, Don, and Mel. and they put that album out. It was called 69 to 71. Well, the record company heard that and go, wait a sec, Mark and Don also were in this group that we own. So they made the same kind of album, put it in blue to kind of capitalize on how Grand Funk Railroad was doing. You can just hear their influences. They wrote a lot of the songs, but they wrote them to sound like other people. They do, of course, do Satisfaction, but they do a song called Dime Storm Debutante. Sounds just like Bob Dylan. The Shut-In has that harpsichord you heard so much in the 60s. I've Been Told sounds like the Rolling Stones. They didn't have an original sound necessarily. They were taken from others. But still, you hear psych in there. You hear garage rock. It's fun stuff. It really is. I enjoyed this. It's always fun when you get something from a group that you have no idea on, and it's APCO, and to kind of hear how another group forms. So, good stuff. Last two, nothing's going to spend a lot of time with. This was a, I got it on clearance. It was a record store day from a few years ago. The Rolling Stones, Greatest Hits, shall we say, Volume 2 on orange. I've always wanted this, but every time I find it, it's so beat up. So I thought, you know what? The record store day one is going to work just fine for me, and it did. I got it at a great price, so I was real happy to get this. Greatest Hits Volume 2, shall we say, from the 60s and 70s. And the other one I just recently picked up, I had it in CD, The Best of Jimi Hendrix and the Experience. It's a 2-album set, just goes through his stuff. A billion people have shown this. It's very popular out there. I just wound up picking it up. Happy to have it. Woo! There we go. All right. I have such stuff. I mean, I can be inside not going to a record store for a very, very long time, and you will still have an early morning Sunday show of stuff I've never shown. Well, most of my collection I've never shown, quite honestly. Yeah, I think that was it. There was something else that was in my brain, but my brain tends to wander. I really appreciate you dropping by again. Always a pleasure to have each and every one of you. Please drop comments. Whatever else you want to do with the video is fine with me. Let me know how bad the beginning was, but gotta have fun, folks. It's all about having some fun. So, really appreciate you, everyone. It's great to hear from you. Let me know what you're up to and what you're doing. Have yourself a wonderful week. I'll be back midweek and next Sunday for another early morning Sunday show. Bye.